Run to the Jordan.
Beach Boys, man. Welcome back to episode 3, Blood Brothers Podcast. I'm Enoch Maurice.
I'm James Alchemy Jr.
We like to start our podcast off with a prayer. So I'm going to start it off.
Facts, hold it down, bro.
I got you. Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity. We ask you to use us in this moment. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Before we get into the actual episode, why don't you tell us the mission statement?
Mission statement for us is our mission is to empower men to take their rightful place in society as leaders under God's law. Consequently, men, women, and children will all receive the right knowledge they need to conduct themselves in society. We change it up, but it's still the same principles, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, last episode was manhood, right? So, we was talking and we was like, you know what? We need to dig deeper into manhood. So, we doing manhood part 2, right?
Okay.
And we
Part two,
calling this
part two, I'm
one,
with it.
this one emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I
We
can
gonna
get
get
with
into
it.
emotion, but in the man aspect. So, how you want to start this off, brother? Because it's gonna get real emotional. Because a lot of men like to hide it. So we gonna get into it. We're gonna get to the real.
All right, so emotions is I guess we have to define it first so that way
Yeah.
everybody can have the proper context of where we're going to be speaking. So emotions is male emotions. You know, the things that guys don't say, but they feel,
Yeah.
the things that come out oftentimes in the wrong way, but the concept and the principles, they're just trying to get to the nitty gritty of expressing themselves, but they can't.
Okay.
So
Why
that's
don't
what emotions.
So since you say how we can't, let's start with the premise. Where do you get that mind frame from where you say like men feel like they can't express it? Where does that start?
I would say it would depend how far we want to go back. So we're gonna really dig into this what I call a male plague, because that's what it is. It's men struggling.
I never heard that one.
Yeah, it's men really struggling to verbalize themselves, and this stems probably back from slavery. Now, don't quote me on this. This is strictly my opinion. Right, I'm not gonna say that.
You gonna have to explain that one.
You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say some doctor or some professor taught me this. Nah, this is strictly my opinion. But I feel like it stems back from slavery, and when we were enslaved, it took the male voice. One philosophy that they had was, you know, be seen and not heard. So a lot of times, men weren't able to vocalize themselves. And what it did was a generational actually reaches right now. Even some parents, they tell like, hey, listen, you be seen, not heard, not realizing that stemmed from a real low point in the African American society.
Yeah.
So I think that the lack of emotions actually comes from the lack of ability to express oneself effectively. And
so you think
that's
it's passed down?
I really do. I mean, I've been around different cultures, and I see white children that are able to vocalize themselves freely to their parents. But when black people see that, they go, the child is rude, right?
Yeah.
But is it rude, or are they just having an open dialogue with their parents? I've seen the same thing in other cultures, Asians, you know, they do the same thing. They allow their children to express themselves.
I think there's a fine line though, because when like in both sides, we've seen in the grocery store where the black kid with the mom, she say something once, like it's over. And with a lot of the other cultures, they rambling on, no, I want to do this, no. I mean, so it's kind of a fine line, I would say.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see where the transparency lacks, but ultimately, would you rather your child express their emotions regardless of how they do it vocally, or
Yeah,
would you want to take their voice and then when they become adults, they don't even know how to express themselves at all? So the
that's a good point.
balance,
That's a good point.
that has to be a I guess that has to be the challenging argument behind it, because although a child might lash out, if that's what you want to call it, throw a temper tantrum, whatever you want to call it, right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day, the child is expressing themselves. You have African American kids that won't even express themselves, and their children experiencing that, and they become adults and they do the same pattern. So I mean, I could see where it might seem
Yeah.
disrespectful, but it
Yeah.
definitely depends on how the communication is translated and what type of relationship you have with your kid. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, me personally, I have open dialogue with my son. He's allowed, if I tell him something, he's allowed to question me on it. And I don't feel like it's disrespectful.
Did you have
You
that when you
know,
were a kid?
no, I didn't. And
Mm.
I think what it did, I mean, I'm very vocal about my own emotions now, but it didn't stem from my parental upbringing. It stemmed from my cultural existence. So obviously I was in the acting world for a while,
Yeah.
and that's empowered vocalization and expression and having emotions and being able to articulate your emotions. That is a big thing in the acting world. That's pretty much acting,
Yeah. Yeah.
being able to tap into those feelings. So I adopted that from that, not from necessarily from my parents or anything like
Yeah.
that. So, I definitely I pass that on to my children because I'm worried about their inability to express themselves as Black men, because I see it far too often, you know. But what do you think?
Yeah.
What is your analogy on men and, or let's say children, and them
So
expressing themselves?
I feel the same way, but it took to later in life to realize when I was a kid I had a temper. Like,
Okay,
and I was
temper
because I
like
couldn't
what though?
express myself.
What like temper as far as what? Like what does it mean?
Like
Shout out to Bubba Guppies.
I
My
like
son
when
cut.
I was a kid, like everybody know that's Caribbean. There is no talking back. Like
Okay. So in that
that's
culture, I was saying
yeah,
the Black culture too, but definitely in the
yeah.
Caribbean culture as well. Uh-huh.
Caribbean is very enforced. Like there is no talking back. When I say something, that's it.
Okay.
And I would get in trouble in school a lot when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And it was like at home I couldn't say nothing, but at school when it built up, it was like I didn't really respect authority at school because it wasn't my
Well, what do you
parents.
consider disrespect?
See, that's the point right there. Expressing
Hmm.
myself. I would express
Hmm.
myself in school and get in trouble because I didn't know how to do it
Hmm.
properly because I couldn't do it at home.
Okay. So
You
give me an
know?
example. Give me an example so it's clear.
Okay, so I would be in class. I would need to use the bathroom. I raise my hand. I need to use the bathroom. Teacher would say no. I'll wait.
Hmm.
Raise my hand again. I need to use the bathroom. Teacher would say no. Third time, I actually use the bathroom. Teacher would say no. By then, I'm already tight. So now I'm
Okay.
start spazzing, yo, blah, blah, blah. And mind you, they used to call my sister in the classroom to come get me out because I would just start spazzing out in class when I was a kid. And it
Hmm.
was like they tried to put me on ADHD, thinking like I had a problem. But then I realized no, I just didn't know how to express myself because it
Hmm.
was so bottled in. So when I got a chance in school and I couldn't get my way, I would just let my frustration out because I
Okay.
didn't know how to channel my emotions. Because at
Okay.
home, if you get in trouble, there is no. They tell you don't cry when you're getting beat. You're getting a whooping. They tell you don't cry. I'm like, if you cry, literally, mama, they would say, if you cry, I'm gonna beat you more. I'm like, how you expect me to? I'm getting a whooping right now.
I'm
And
getting
telling me
washed
not to
up.
cry. Like, bro, it was tough, man. It was tough growing up, man. It was tough, bro. It was tough,
So let me ask you this then. So what was your outlet to express yourself? So let's just say you were
yeah,
upset or you were frustrated. What was your
Mhm.
outlet at home then?
I didn't have no outlet until I got to middle school when I started playing
Okay.
sports. Literally,
Okay.
until I got to middle
Okay.
school, that's when the behavioral problems like went down a little bit.
Mhm.
I finally had an outlet. Like sports was legit my outlet. Legit, like point
Okay.
blank period. Like there was really
So
nothing else.
that we what age would that be considered? Like sixth
Middle
grade? That's when
school,
they started. Middle school was 6th to 8th grade, right? That's when they had just
yeah, sixth
started
to eighth grade.
6th, 8th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
still get in trouble a little bit here and there, but
Mhm.
sports, playing football, wrestling, lacrosse, like
Mhm.
that definitely gave me a different discipline. I was able to really express myself through sports.
So basically, it was once you hit like your middle school, teenage years is when you were
Mm-hmm.
able to express your emotions
Mm-hmm.
in your way. But
Yeah.
even that, if you look at the patterns behind it, right,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a vocal expression.
Yeah. It was
It
aggression.
was it was aggression. So
Mm-hmm.
that that that's always promoted for young men to
Yeah.
be aggressive
Definitely. Definitely.
and be angry and
Mm-hmm.
fight in these things
Tough.
instead of
Be that tough
vocalize
guy.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be the tough guy. So I said that to say during your crucial years of learning how to express yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
probably lack the efficient communication skills that you need to
Mm-hmm.
explain vocally how you
Definitely.
feel, right?
Definitely.
So with me, it was the total opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was during those years I was homeschooled and then I was acting. So that
Mm-hmm.
was promoted, and that was to be able to cry on cue. That's like a plus. So one thing that I learned was being able to like tap into the places in your mind where your feelings are the most potent,
Mm-hmm.
and that's usually what actors do. You're able to go to a place in your mind and transform it to a character to be able to express yourself.
Yeah.
And what it did was, I guess maybe doing that for the 5 years that I did it, it trained me to express myself. I'm very
Yeah.
vocal about my emotions. I don't see it as a weakness, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people look at, oh, you're emotional. It's like, no, it's not that I'm emotional. I have emotions and I have to express them. Now, am I gonna throw a temper tantrum? No, I'm not. But am I gonna express how I'm feeling? 100%. And that started from when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I played sports as well, but even in my sports, I was always a vocal leader. I never needed sports to vocalize myself. I was always vocal because of the nature of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time now, children are not able to express themselves. And I guess obviously it's the same routine that's been going on since our parents dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
That inability to really vocalize themselves. And what it does is it pretty much emotionally cripples people. Because if you don't vocalize how you feel, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
speak on your emotions, what it does is, like you said, it bottles up inside, and then
Comes
it
out the
comes
wrong
out in
way.
different ways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we look at young African American boys, or even I'm not even gonna just say structure for African American boys. We just look
Mm-hmm.
at young boys who don't have the ability to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They usually have disciplinary issues. They usually fight in school. They
Yep.
usually
Yep.
cursing
Yep.
teachers out, or they
Yeah.
usually just they really defiant against authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's by nature. It's not so much of that they want to be. It's just that when you don't have a voice,
Yeah.
especially as a child, you don't realize I don't have a voice. You just don't express yourself. You just look for other ways to do it. And what it does is just a ripple effect moving into your manhood.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I would have to ask you is, as a child, once you felt like you had an opportunity to express yourself, what did it feel like?
Honestly, I never really felt like I had a real opportunity to express myself. And that's why I say I feel like I had temper tantrums up until I played sports because
Mhm.
because I didn't know the right way. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So there
Okay.
was no explanation of the right way to express yourself. It was just like emotions, like how you feel. But as you get older, you understand there's a certain way you deal with your emotions. I didn't have that foundation of the proper way to deal with your emotions. So I would just spaz out in class.
So let me ask you, when you were playing sports though, what did it feel like once you played sports?
Oh,
Like what was the emotions that you felt like when you played sports? Like what
that,
went through your head? What was the calming factor? Like what were the dynamics of, the emotions when you played sports?
when I played sports, it felt like a release. Like I just felt like a beast. Like real talk, bro. No joke.
Okay,
Real
a
talk.
beast. All
Yeah,
right, a
felt like
beast.
a beast. I'm an animal. Like you can't stop me. Like that's how I felt. That's how I felt.
Okay.
Like even like you see when I used to wrestle, like that used to be going through my head. Like I'm really about to wash this dude. And it wasn't off of like because in wrestling, bro, most of the people were technically better than me. But
Fundamentally, I get
fundamentally. But I washed everybody off of pure aggression.
Okay.
I would let everything out. So that was my outlet. And after that, I just felt so good. Like I just felt like I couldn't be touched.
Okay. I could definitely see where sports become the outlet for a lot of kids, and obviously I do Genesis and I do the basketball program specifically for expression. I really do. I look at it as a way for kids to, of course, be healthy, but also free them of, from vocally.
Yeah.
If it's leading in stretches to chanting things to, just even having a normal dialogue with them, a full dialogue when they come in, like, hey, how you doing? Well, how was school today? And they'll give me one-word answers, and I'll dig into them. Like, no, what exactly did you do in school? Like things like that. Like
See,
little
you know
things
what you're
like that.
doing? You're giving them a sense of authority.
Yeah.
Because when you're kids, when you're a kid, you just think it's like, yes, man, no, man, and then keep it moving. But when you're engaging with them, you're kind of making them feel like a person in a sense.
Yeah.
Growing
No,
up,
that's
it's
true.
like you really have no place. What they say goes, and that's it. And what you're doing, you're changing that because you're giving them a voice to where it's like, oh, I'm having a conversation with a grown person. There was no real conversation with a grown person.
That's true. That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Even for me, that's accurate. I would say up until probably fifth grade, I probably was silent in my, in my vocally. But what I
Yeah.
will say is, as far as emotions, it's just weird because the dynamic of what is taught, stigmas of, oh, boys don't cry,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
be tough, those stigmas. I'm not opposed to them. That I tell my son this all the time. I say, look, you can cry, but just cry for the right things. Now, I don't want to be the one to dictate what he cries for, but if it's something that I feel like he's just whining about and he's crying, like let's say he wants a game, he doesn't get it, he starts crying. That's unacceptable. You're not gonna cry for that. But if you're crying because you're disappointed in something, I'm not gonna fault you for that. Let's talk about why do you feel disappointed,
See,
and
that
let's
wasn't
open up
promoted
that
growing up.
dialogue.
That was not promoted growing up. You don't cry. You don't cry. That was never promoted. That was never promoted. If you cry,
That's
you got with
weird.
your man something happened. Are you crying, bro? I ain't crying. You ain't crying. Yo, you crying, bro. And like you could not cry in front of your man. Bro, now, bro. If I want to cry, I'm gonna cry. Word the mother. I gotta cry. Bro, I'll cry so fast right now. Listen.
It's more of a thing where I think as children, like I said, I think it stems from the parenting, what your parents allow you to do. So if your parents are promoting, hey, listen, you don't talk back to me. What I say goes, this is law, right?
Yeah.
Subconsciously, they're teaching you how to be a subject instead of a king or a queen. And I say that to say, if that's what the only thing your parents teach, right? When you do get into a situation where you need to vocalize yourself, you're not even gonna know how to do
You're not
it.
gonna know how. Yeah, you're not gonna know
You're
how.
not gonna know how, and you're probably gonna be scared to do it because you're gonna think you're gonna get in trouble by your parents. Because to you know, you have this ideology or this thought process where it's like, hey, you know, this is just what's right. And I think far too often, especially in the Black community, it's especially potent in the Black community that just do what I say. That's it. Like, I don't want to hear anything. And what we don't realize is that you're hindering your child's ability to communicate. And what you're going to do is eventually create an adult that doesn't know how to communicate.
Exactly.
And that will
that's the
affect
biggest thing.
you know, that's going to affect everything. And that goes for any relationship that you have. I still to this day, I watch kids and I'll have conversations with kids, just normal conversation. And it's almost like they look down. They're not very confident in their ability to speak. And they're like, everything is very like, no. And when I see that, I don't think the parents realize that that's a reflection on your parenting. And as a parent, it's your job to instill confidence in your children, not discipline. Like, the discipline comes from love. So perfect example, you're not gonna say, like, you're gonna say, listen, I love you, so I don't want you to run in front of the train. You know what I mean? I get that type of discipline. But if you're disciplining them not to speak, now you're gonna run into a future problem that you probably didn't expect. And this goes for men and women. Like, we're talking about, you know, male emotion, but this goes for young ladies too, because a lot of times young ladies long for male attention or long for any kind of attention, and then they try to go get it in different ways. But maybe if they knew how to say, hey mom, you know, right now I don't really know what's going on with me, but I have an attraction towards boys, right? Let's just say, for example, instead of them seeking the attention of boys, they'll go to the parent first. They can have an open dialogue, and now that can be a healthy relationship as she turns into a teenager, a woman. And the same thing goes for boys. It's a matter of communication first, and then understanding emotion. Without the communication, you can't even express your emotions. So
that's true. That's true, because come to think about that, like, even when I would get in trouble and I'd be in the principal office, principal asks, like, what happened? Why did you? I would just sit there and not even know what to say. Like, I wouldn't even know what to say.
It becomes it's almost like a culture shock. I watch, and like I said, Cam goes to a predominantly white school. I mean, he's probably one of 5 kids that are Black in his school. But I sit there and watch these kids articulate themselves with confidence and boldness and the utmost belief in themselves. And, you know, I'm proud to say Cam has adopted that philosophy.
Yeah, he definitely has. He definitely has.
Even if it wasn't him going to that school, I already had that in my mind of how I was going to raise him. You speak up. You know, when he gets in trouble, he's allowed to ask. Like, if Cam gets in trouble, he's allowed to ask me, Daddy, why am I in trouble? And I'll sit down and we'll have a conversation. You're in trouble because this, that, and this, right? He'll go, well, he'll present his case. I'll present my case. Ultimately, finally, I have the final say, obviously. But a lot of the times when we have those dialogues, I hug him after and I go, okay, go sit in your room now for 30 minutes or stare at the wall for 30. You know, I'm not, or push up position, whatever it is. But I tell him I'm proud of him for defending himself vocally, because before it becomes fist, you could avoid a lot of it if you could just express yourself. And I think that when I look at the minority community, it's so stricken and poisoned by past like the what I was speaking about, the slavery mentality of don't speak, don't express yourself. Even I was gonna ask you, what do you think about?
I almost took that on with my son, because it's like, I'm so used to, don't say nothing back to me, what you crying for? But then I had to consciously, like, I had to make sure I'm consciously like, yo, let him express himself. Let me tell him, even though he's 2 turning 3, but still allowing him.
So it starts from here.
Exactly. Like, when he cries, I'm like, yo, go sit down. So why are you crying? Like, in the beginning, that'd be my thought, but I had to constantly like, yo, I can't allow him to bottle that in. So I would let him cry. I'm like, all right, come here. You know why I did that? You know what you did? You can't do that. Like, I would actually talk to him exactly what he did. And he's like, okay, I love you. Like, and
yeah, I love you, but you're still gonna get this push-up position. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, you still in trouble, but you can't do that. But
yeah,
that's gonna be the change where he's gonna be able to express himself. Like, even now, like, he's like, and that's me looking at him like, boy, you lucky I'm not my parents. But I'd be like, you done? All right, come sit down. Let's talk. I mean, before I put these paws on you, like, I'm still like, I'm still gonna handle my business the way it needs to be handled. I mean, but we gonna have some dialogue. I'm gonna give you some love, and we gonna make sure we fix this problem.
So let me ask you, how do you feel about counseling?
Counseling, like, how do you what?
Just in general, how do you feel about kids going to counseling, adults going to counseling, just period, like the whole process of going to sit down with what they call shrink or psychiatrist or whatever? How do you feel about that?
Growing up, that was a no-no. That was a no-no. Like, what? See a shrink? Oh, if you go to see a counselor, anything you consider crazy in the hood, like, he go to counseling, he go to therapy, like, yo, he bugged out. He bugged out, like, he got therapy. But now, like, when you look at it, like, yo, some people really need someone to talk to. I mean, and I always try to make sure I don't want my child, when he's older, to have to fix things from when he was younger. I don't want him when he's older to have to deal with his childhood.
I get you.
I want him to grow up and not have to worry about, I need to fix this in my past. I need to fix this in my past. No. We gonna make sure you grow up the way you're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So therapy, counseling, all that, I'm okay with that now. Now that I'm older, but when I was younger, nah.
No chance. So here's what I realized personally. So before me and my wife got married, you know, we went to counseling. We counseled for a while.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that people usually go to counseling to fix problems, but you don't necessarily have to go to counseling because something is wrong.
Exactly.
Especially men and mental health. It starts from a child. So I would say this, right? If you can't, as a child, express yourself to your parents, and the parent realizes that you're not vocal with them, it's important that the parent takes the initiative and goes, okay, maybe it might be good for you to go sit down and talk to someone else. Because although they might not have that relationship with you right away, if they learn the tools that they need to communicate, even if it's with somebody else, eventually it'll come back around and it'll be with you.
Yeah.
Parents don't realize the impact, especially on boys and their emotions. Boys' emotions are very intense. I seem to, realize subconsciously that, but boys' emotions seem to be a little bit more intense than girls. It's just that girls are allowed to freely express themselves. Boys are hindered by society's protocol of what it is to be a boy.
Don't cry, man up. Yeah.
Everything is man up, don't cry, don't whine. And a lot of times there's truth within their words, or there's truth within their tears.
Yeah.
I when I was a child, it was more of regardless of my parents. Now, my pops, he definitely wasn't the type to, like, if I cried, it was, come on, you being soft, or, that type of thing.
Yeah.
My mom, not so much. She kind of just let me be who I was and just accepted me. But that's usually what moms are. They're that comfort that a boy usually seeks, or any child.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of those things where I always question, why didn't my father allow me to express my feelings so that way I wasn't hindered long term by the lack of affection or ability to communicate? And what I realized is, and this is with the whole notion of, that the slavery mentality. I call it slavery mentality just because it was back in the day. Like, it was a very rough time.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were hindered by their parents, and then they couldn't understand when we became whatever century was, that we wanted to have a voice. We wanted to express ourselves. We wanted the freedom the same as my sister. I want to be able to, if I'm sad, I want to be able to cry. If I'm happy, I want to
Yeah.
smile. If I'm angry, I want to growl. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I want that ability, and I want that I want you to be there to help me and teach me through my emotions. So that way I understand them, because we look at the prison system, we look at young men who struggle in school, we look at kids who lack confidence, and it all pretty much stems from uh, depression and emotional instability, right? So when we bring it to our kids and our perspective
Yeah.
of, okay, what is emotions and
Yeah.
what is the goal behind it? It has to be allowing boys to express themselves, to become men that express themselves.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
on the transition, right? It's a very crucial time on the transition from boy to man. As a black man in America, one mistake away from the prison system. It's the nature of what we deal with in our culture. And a lot of that is usually emotionally driven. So what I want to ask you is, during your teenage years, when you did feel anger, or you felt the rage, or whatever it is that you felt, did you feel empowered by those emotions, or were you embarrassed by them? So when you were angry, what was your perspective of it? When you were sad, what was your perspective of it as a teenager?
Yeah, as a teenager, definitely, if you sad, there's really no expressing yourself. Like, keep it a buck. Like, if I was dating somebody in my teen years and like we either broke up, or you never let it show to your mans like that is hurting you.
Okay.
Like, you never gonna let it, like, let man, forget her. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Like, nah, but deep down inside, dudes will be fronting if they say there wasn't a girl that really hurt them. Like,
The one that got you,
yeah,
the
like,
heart crusher.
dudes will front. Dudes will front. Like, I'll be the first one to tell you, of course, you know that I've been hurt before, but I guarantee you ain't nobody knew. Like,
Yeah.
so like, nah, don't express that. Hold that in. Hold that in. Like, keep it moving. But because here's the thing. And I would say from experience, when you get hurt, like, hurt people.
That's
So
facts. That's facts.
I feel like it would change a lot of the way broken men treat unbroken women. Because broken men end up breaking perfectly fine women.
Yeah.
And
very much so.
One of the big things about manhood that I want to express is that we have to take a lot of responsibility for what we've done to a lot of women.
True.
Very true. Because we'll get broken, and I'm gonna be honest, I got my heart broke one time. And then after that, I was like,
How old were you? How old were you though?
This was senior year. Well, it's happened before, but I'll say where it really made an effect, like as far as me treating other women, I'll say senior year. Because after that, I was like, after high school, I was like, man, I'm about to be out here, man. Forget all this love, forget all this wifey. Like, I'm about to be out here. And it's like, I was giving myself to people, and like, I'm be real, like, I would tell them from jump, like, yo, listen, like, I'm not trying to be in a relationship. Like, I'm telling you that from jump. So whatever happened. Like, don't fall in love, blah, blah, blah. Like, not even on some dirt bag. Like, I would keep it real with them. Like, yo, listen, I'm not looking for a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if growing up dealing with relationships as young men, if we were able to express it amongst each other, like, yo, bro, like, yo, she really hurt me. Like, We're like, yo, it's all right. I mean, like, yo, that happened to me too, for real. Like, I didn't even know. Like, being able to have that dialogue with your man, like, yo, it happens, bro. Like, I mean, it ain't just you. So you ain't gotta be out here dragging girls down the same road that you going through. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if you was able to have that dialogue, I feel like a lot of men would treat women differently. And I feel like that was a big thing that I realized.
Would you consider that the first time that your heart was broken?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say
That was
that.
the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. So it happened at two. So I will tell you this, right? My heart probably the first time it was broken was as a child.
Mm,
So the first person to break my heart was my pops. So
mm,
it was just all a ripple effect from that. So seeking a father's approval
mm-hmm.
and not receiving it as a child, it does something to your psyche. It brings about insecurities that as a child you don't understand. It definitely makes you long for approval from other people. You want, you want, there's no boy or any child that can tell me that it doesn't mean something when daddy goes, "Yo, I'm proud of you, my boy. Like you
Mm.
my guy. I love you." The affirmation. You really mean, I'm proud to be your father. You mean something to me. And when I never received it, that was the first time my heart was broken. Although I didn't know it until as I got older and I put things
Mm-hmm.
into perspective. So my heart was broken in-house first.
Wow.
Then I experienced the heartbreak with the girl, and it was I probably was like
Um,
15. You know what I'm saying? And,
wow.
and she did me filthy, filthy. Oh God, boy, she was older than me. She had. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did some funny money, so I deserve what came from it. You know what I mean? I was a snitch on him. I was telling him I wanted his girl. So I told some things that I wasn't supposed to tell to get her. But she end up, being back with him and cheating on me with him or whatever the
Oh
like she
man.
started messing with him again. And I was broken by that. I was very hurt,
Uh-huh.
So I would say from the age of probably 15 to how old am I? I'm 29. When did I meet Mario? 26.
26. I think you mad 26.
26.
26 or
Every
25, one
girl,
of them. Might be 25.
every,
I don't remember.
every girl from that point on paid
Mm,
the price for what that girl did.
mm,
They all paid the price, except maybe one of
mm,
my exes. Maybe she didn't, but it wasn't because I wanted to do right by her. I just
mm.
wanted to prove to myself that I could be loyal to a girl. That was
Yeah.
really what it really had nothing to do with her. I'm gonna be honest. It just I had to prove it to myself before I got my wife, right? Because I wanted to do her filthy. Like I wanted
Yeah.
but I stuck it out, and I'm grateful I did because what it did was it prepared me for my wife. But I
Yeah.
say that to say, a lot of times we don't realize, or parents don't realize, that you break your child's heart from the beginning, and then you
Mm.
send them into the world to try to figure it out. Like,
Mm.
I'm pretty sure there are plenty of young men and women out there who could look and go, dang man, I really wanted the affirmation from my pops or my
Mm.
moms or whatever, you know what I mean? And when you don't have that, the sense of hurt that you feel inadequate. You feel
Mm.
under or below expectation of what a human's supposed to be. Because it's like, if I can't please my parents or my dad or my mom, who can I please? They created me,
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I agree that it definitely, with girls, it definitely,
Yeah.
that's like the trickle effect as far as relationships. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as the mental instability, I feel like it starts in the house. It's just that
Yeah.
we might not
Yeah.
acknowledge it that way. But like I
Yeah.
said, it's not all parents. It's just that
Yeah.
was just my experience. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So I guess the best way to ask you would be, so once you came to yourself and you realize, like, okay, I don't know if living this type of lifestyle is healthy for my emotional
Uh-huh.
stability.
Yeah.
What was that defining moment? Like, when did you look at yourself and go, all right, I was broke, but I can't live like this no more?
Honestly. it was just like after a while it gets old. It gets old, man. It gets old.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at like
Mm-hmm.
22, like I said on the last podcast, when I got like my real first serious relationship since out of high school, 22. And then from then, your perspective start changing. And even with that, even then, it's like you want to show your emotions, but you don't fully. So like from then, that's when it started getting better. Like, okay, start expressing myself more, like real love, like, you know what I'm saying? Up until 24, then I found my now wife. But even then, it was like I still couldn't fully express myself, but that's when I started to open up. I would say by
Okay.
22. By 22, that's when I started opening up and really being in a serious relationship, committed relationship. That's when I
I
started.
get you. I get you.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that if you never would have experienced, or let's just say it, if you would have learned to communicate your
Mm-hmm.
feelings, right,
Mm-hmm.
at an earlier age,
Yeah.
as you was transitioning through your emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not just talking about, the girlfriend breaking up. They're not talking I'm
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
your anger, your frustrations, your
Mm-hmm.
insecurities,
Yeah.
your aggression. Because all of
Mm-hmm.
these emotions, I firmly believe that no emotion is bad. It's
Yeah.
just how you handle it is the
Mm-hmm.
deciding factor if it's bad or not. So once you acknowledge all of your feelings as a
Mm-hmm.
man,
Yeah.
what was your, I don't want to say what was your venting process, but what did you start to do to learn to communicate your
Mm-hmm.
feelings?
Honestly, the biggest thing, and it's cliche, like, oh yeah, but when I truly, truly found a relationship with God,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
that's when I really started to understand like love and
Mm-hmm.
emotion, relationship,
Mm-hmm.
like still to this day, like no matter what's going on, if I start getting intimate with God, I can cry like tears start flowing, no matter what. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's just a feeling of comfort that you don't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started getting close and building my own, because of course I believed in God growing up, but from my parents' view, they taught me. But then when I started building my own relationship with God and started realizing how beautiful life is and how it's okay to express your emotions. Like I would talk to God so much, I would pray so much, I would start changing the music I would listen to, and it was like, I need to be tough for what? Like
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am. I don't gotta prove nothing to nobody. Like
Mm-hmm.
you start realizing, like, yo, there's more to this. Like if I want to cry, I can cry. Like if I want to tell you how I'm feeling, I can tell you. And that started with me expressing that to God.
Mm-hmm.
And once he gave me that, like, it's okay, and it just all of that stigma of a man, what a man should be, like men don't cry, men got to be tough.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like I started going to another level, bro, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just something. Like still to this day, like my intimate moments with God is just, it's so emotional, it's
Mm-hmm.
so conscious, it's so expressive, and I wouldn't change that for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think, I
it's
think,
deep, bro.
I think, a lot of people struggle with expressing themselves, period.
Mm-hmm.
And when you speak on expressing yourself to God, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those kind of things where, I mean, for somebody who doesn't have a relationship with God,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's more of like you feel like you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
talking to myself. He's not saying anything to me.
Yeah.
He's not really giving me the answers that I need.
Uh-huh.
But I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I think my insecurity stemmed from when I was so young
Mm-hmm.
that everything was rapid for me. So what people were experiencing at 25, 26, I was probably experiencing at like 13, 14.
Mm.
What and then of course like I became a father at 19, so or 20. So everything was hyper you know, hyperfused for me
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
So when it came to my relationship with God, I was so broke as a child
Mm-hmm.
as far as emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and I really couldn't control my emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
like I was an overly sensitive child, if that's what they want to call it.
Yeah.
Like things affected me, and their music affected me, movies affected me, certain conversations would affect me. There wasn't a time where one movie that would always get to me was like Richie Rich. I mean that with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
I loved his relationship with his dad. I've always
Yeah.
longed for that relationship with my father to look and be like, you know, Dad, what's up? What you doing? Or
Mm-hmm.
him looking at me and going, hey, you know, I'm proud of you, whatever the case is. So anytime that I seen it, it was a constant reminder of what I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So so instead of, and I, you know, I'm very grateful for this, instead of it breaking me to a point where I became a delinquent,
Mm-hmm.
it actually drew me closer to God, where it was like, hey, you know, I didn't ask to be here.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I didn't ask to have him as my father. I didn't ask to have these emotions. I didn't have to ask for this experience, but you put me in place. So if you're the reason I'm here, I'm gonna need you to give me the outlet and the freedom I need to express myself. Because if you don't, it's definitely going to hinder me because I seen the progression. So when I think about my life, it's always like it was a blessing that I was homeschooled for those teenage years. So from about 10 to 14, I was like fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. I was
Yeah.
homeschooled. So it was a blessing that I was home and sheltered and doing what I was doing, learning how to express myself and these type of things. Because if not, I strongly believe I was too broken to be free in the world trying to figure it out myself. I would have went the wrong way, not on purpose, but off the strength of I wouldn't have had a voice to express my hurt. And when I look at young men, you know, it's definitely like you grew up in you know, your parents, they're pastors, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're very involved with the church, and they have their own
Yeah.
church, of course. But even that, it's still, you still were longing for something,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
couldn't even
and
in
you
growing up in church. I couldn't express. I didn't know how to express myself.
exactly. So even with that, so
Yeah.
it's not. It's always to me.
Even
It's
in the
never.
church, like literally, I
Yeah.
didn't raise my hand or nothing. I would just sit there. Like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It's an inferior complex that parents subconsciously or consciously instill in us as
Mm-hmm.
children.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, there isn't a need for it, because if I look at my father, meaning God, right, and
Mm-hmm.
he empowers me to be a leader and a king and have dominion rulership over the earth, and he
Mm-hmm.
wants, and ultimately, if I'm a representation of him,
Mm-hmm.
why would I be insecure? Why would I lack the ability to communicate? Why would I lack the ability to create?
Mm-hmm. You talking
That's
that
what he
talk
does.
now?
That's
Mm-hmm.
what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So so through my evolution of a man, I mean, from a child, obviously I was just happy that I felt like he cared. But
Mm-hmm.
when I became a man, I was happy that he was in me. It was totally different. Where I'm glad that you're governing my thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're you're using my emotions to trigger me to be better. So perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. A lot of times people think feeling of anger is bad. I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that. I
Mm-hmm.
believe the feeling of anger towards the right situation
Yeah.
creates change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people might view it as it's bad.
Yeah.
Another example is like
Perspective.
crying.
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so crying, people look at
Mm-hmm.
crying like, oh man, you know what I'm saying, like you cry, whatever. See me, I see crying as your seeds. You got in your heart, those water them, they come true. That's how. Now, do I believe that crying everything is good? No, I don't.
No.
I don't
No.
think you need to be walking
Yeah.
around being a crybaby.
Yeah. You should have
Everything,
some type. Yeah. You should have some type of toughness.
yeah, like
Some tough skin.
everything you crying about, like, yo,
Yeah.
bro, listen. there's no woman that wants a crybaby. Let's not get it
No,
twisted.
no, yeah, let's not get it twisted. Like, we're not trying to say like, yo, you got to be a crybaby, cry. No. We're not talking about
I
that.
will say, we're not talking about that. That's not where we're referring.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Like, we ain't soft. Like, there's a difference.
We're not walking around. We're not. Look at you. You getting into your egotistical. Don't get it twisted. We're not soft. Like, all right, calm down. It's not that deep. Jeez. All right. Anyway, before he got on his man empowerment, Mr. Hulk over here, this guy's crazy. No, obviously we're not soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the emotions that we have as men that were subdued as a child, we need to learn how to focus them in, master them, and use them for what God created.
Yeah.
So when I think of anger, it angers me that I can look in the juvenile system and majority of the kids are Black and Hispanic. I'm Puerto Rican and Black. So that angers me that there weren't parents or fathers or programs that could have saved these shit and I mean these kids. And I look at it as a way of, I need to do something about that. I'm angry about that. So the anger is my motivation factor to make a change. I say this all the time. It's rare that you ever see a father go visit a son in jail. I worked in jail. You know what I mean? I've never seen a father come visit their son in jail and go, hey, son, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. I've never seen that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's far and few. What do you usually
You want to know why you don't see that?
Talk to me.
I looked at the percentage a while back, not too long ago. They said, don't quote me, but between 80 to 90% of Black males that are in jail, incarcerated, don't have a father in the home. And that's crazy.
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. It definitely puts a burden on mothers to be a mom and dad. It puts them out of place, and not in a place. Not when I say out of place, I don't want it to be misconstrued. I'm not saying women have a place, but it's a man's responsibility to be the foundation of the family. So when you force a mother to be a mother and a father, now she's out of place. She shouldn't have to bear the burden of the family. That's not her position, right? A male has to take his rightful place in the family so that way they can produce together a healthy environment for their children to succeed. So when I think of emotions as an adult, it's definitely more of a motivational factor behind it. I understand emotions a lot more. And I invite them into my mental capacity. I definitely don't I don't shy away from crying. I don't like, I mean, I'll hug my son and I'll cry him and tell him I love him. I don't care, you know what I mean? And he'll wipe my tears, man. You don't worry about it, pops, you know. And I'm okay with that. You know, if I want to cry while I'm watching something with my wife, I'm gonna cry. Now when it comes to being emotional, I'm not doing that.
Y'all mad emotional, like, yo, bro. What was the last movie? The Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan movie? Bro, I'm in the theater.
Yeah, I can't.
Crying. My wife looking at me like, you crying? Like, yo, chill. Like, crying, like, because I felt like normally I would hold that, like, back in the day, if I wanted to cry, I would never let it go. Yeah. But nowadays, if
your throat start hurting, right? Like, I'm good, babe. I'm good.
Bro, now when I feel like, bro, I cry. Like, I don't, like, bro, I let it out.
So let me ask you. You can hear me?
Nah.
You hear me? All right, yeah.
I hear you now. Let me ask you, when the last time you cried?
When did I drop Cam off? Every Tuesday at 6:00 when I go drop Cam off.
Serious?
Every Tuesday. I hold it until he go. I let it out, and then when I pick him up, you know, I cry again. I just can't help it. I miss my son and I love him, you know. So So I don't
Trying to
know
make
what
me
else
cry,
to do,
man.
man. No, it's just I don't know. I don't know how else to express my love for him. You know, I'll hug him,
Mm,
and I miss him so much throughout the week that I can't help it when I see him. It's on, you know. But
mm,
he knows. I mean, me and Cam have been through a lot together, so he's seen me balling. You know, he's seen it,
mm,
so it's not foreign to him. It's and a lot of times he'll ask me what's wrong, and a lot of parents, you know, if they crying, if oh, don't worry, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm like, nah, I don't never. One thing I don't do as an adult, if I'm not okay, I don't say I'm okay. If somebody be like,
mm.
yo, what's wrong? You good? I'll say no, I'm not good, and I'll explain what's wrong. And I think
Yeah,
people too often mask their feelings
yeah,
for no
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
If someone asks you, hey, you good? And you're not good, why are you lying about your feelings? I
Cause
just
growing
asked you,
up,
was you good?
cause growing
I
up,
just,
there was no expressing yourself.
yeah, but like my thing is like, I just asked you, were you good?
Hmm.
You said, oh, I'm good. But clearly you're not.
Yeah.
So when Kim would ask me, Daddy, you good? I'm like, listen, man, you know, and he'll say this. I always tell him like, you know, Daddy did a lot of things in his life to put us in this situation. And it just hurts me that I don't see you every day. So you know, I'm sorry for that. And there are no words that could express my sorrow for you not seeing your dad every day.
Hmm.
But when you get older, I'm gonna explain to you what happened. And he'll be like, well, you got a lot of explaining to do, Daddy, because you
Yeah.
always crying about it. I'm like, you're right, you're right. You know what I mean? You're
See,
right.
even with the whole thing saying I'm good, like this, I feel like this is why it's important to attack manhood before we even get into fatherhood and marriage, because within marriages, if you're not able to express yourself with your spouse, things build up and
Yeah,
then it just goes downhill. You got to be able to
yeah,
express yourself to your spouse how you feeling. And if you grow up always, nah, whatever, whatever, she ain't, whatever, I'm holding in. And then that just builds up, and then you wonder why how the marriage got rocky. It's like one little thing turns into an explosion when it's like, yo, you mad about something that happened 5 issues ago. You know what I'm saying?
5 issues ago.
Like that, and
Bro,
that be the problem. You
now
gotta
that do,
communicate.
that do. I think when it comes to men and their emotions, it's so frowned upon other than
Yeah,
anger,
yeah,
aggression,
yeah.
um, what else? I don't know, lying, you know,
Mm-hmm.
arrogance, these type of feelings and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're impact. You don't never hear a man, bro, don't worry about it. You got your shoulder, bro, don't sweat that. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
like it's good. Let it out, bro. Let it out. It's cool. Let
Yeah,
it out. Let it out.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Don't hold that. You don't ever hear that. And I think what it's doing is it's crippling male emotions.
yeah,
And what's gonna end up happening is eventually you're gonna dry up, right? As a
yeah,
man, you're gonna you holding your emotions to your family, you're holding your emotions to your friends. Eventually, you're gonna become so disconnected with your feelings that
yeah.
you're not gonna be able to feel anymore. And when you finally do feel again, it's going to be too intense. And the only example I could really think of is like when someone dies in
Mm-hmm.
the family, you see men break down. Like you be like, I didn't even know that he could cry
Yeah,
like that, bro.
yeah,
You be like,
yeah,
geez.
yeah.
That might have been honestly. That might have been when my grandfather had passed away. That might have been the only time I've ever seen my pops cry. Like he
Mm,
was bawling. He was
mm,
bawling, and I always remember that because there's something to be said about a man who's willing to be vulnerable. You know,
mm,
it takes courage to be vulnerable.
mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. A lot of dudes they think it to you know strength is oh I don't that don't hurt me that don't bother me you know
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with it I'm not emotional like that. It's like yo bro, what you're doing is you're just feeding a side of you that
Mhm.
doesn't reflect God's image. Even God Himself, you don't think that He understands that you have emotions? Honestly,
Gave it to
you yeah,
you.
he created it. You don't think he knows that you're gonna get sad? You don't think he knows that you're gonna be happy? You don't think he knows that you're gonna be mad? Like he knows these things. He knows you're gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
So it's always good to just express your feelings. And I guess that's why I was asking you about therapy because
Hmm.
mental health in the Black
Yeah.
community is so real. I mean,
Yeah.
it's potent all around, but
Yeah.
especially with men in the Black community. it's like mentally we're so far behind as far as maturity wise,
Yeah.
emotionally especially. You know,
Mm.
it's hard pressed that I ever find a man where I could be talking to them and they'd be like, man, just think about my kids, and then they'll just start tearing up thinking about their kids, you know. Or and I'm not saying that there aren't. Don't get it twisted. I know that there are. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's far and few. It's like eagles. You see them once
Yeah.
in a while, and
Yeah.
they're never with a
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question I would ask you is, when you think of emotions as a man, how do you express them, and where do you think you struggle? So let's start off. How do you express the ones that you struggle with as a child, and where do you struggle as a man with your emotions?
My emotions, I think
Mm-hmm.
at the point I'm at now, I'm very in tune with my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I know where I stand with my emotions. Like emotions to me now is vulnerability. Like
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to be vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to also express yourself. Like for an example, like how I was talking about the whole marriage thing. Like this is stupid, but this is a small example. For an example, if I'm doing laundry, right? I don't like when I go to put my clothes in the laundry and there's clothes in there not put in the dryer yet, right? So I would go in there, see that, and get upset, right? And then, nah, real talk, I would get upset like, yo, why didn't she put the clothes in the dryer yet? Like, and then I'll go again, I get upset. And the one time I was in there, I was tired, and I'm walking out, I'm like, I'm upset for something I didn't even tell her that bothers me. I'm like, I'm over here getting upset because the clothes not put in the dryer. She didn't put it yet. And she has no idea that bothers me. And I could have easily went upstairs with that to like, yo, why you don't? But I never expressed that to her. And then once I finally told her that, like, yo, I don't know why, but it bothers me when it's clothes in the washing machine and it's not put in the dryer yet. She told me like, oh, I have no idea. I'm sorry, I'll make sure. And then she started putting effort towards it. So it's like if I would have just held that in and then just be on my ego, like, nah, she said no. She said no. Like I shouldn't have to tell her. Like that could have just built up. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very in tune. I know how to I check myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
always. I'm always constantly talking to myself every day, like, how do I get better? Every time we used to talk in the morning, like, yo, we always trying to get better. And that's the thing. You gotta always be working on yourself. Always trying to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Never trying to stay like I'm good. Like you better put that ego aside. You better keep growing. Like life ain't over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't just got it, you don't have it. So I'm always conscious, like, yo, make sure every day you continue to grow, continuing to be vulnerable to your family, expressing yourself, loving on your kids, loving on my wife. Like I express myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing controls me to not. I constantly telling my wife I love her. I love her. I remember growing up, it'd be like, "Oh, you in love? Nah, I don't love her, bro. You wild." And like, I love my wife with every ounce of my heart and my being. Like my kids, they mean the world to me. Like you
Mm-hmm.
never have me tough. Like yeah, man, my family, it's all right. No, it's great. Like I love being with my family. I love being with my wife. I love being with my kids. I love loving on them, giving them that lovey-dovey. Like I don't care. Like I'll whatever my wife wants. She want me to do dishes. I'm gonna do the dishes. She don't even ask me. I'll go do it for her. Like I mean, she don't gotta ask me. Like
Mm-hmm.
the bed need to be cleaned up. I'm gonna do it. She's gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it just cause. Like dudes gotta understand. Like yo, it ain't not tough to sit there. And, I ain't doing no dishes. You know how many men out there probably like, man, I ain't doing no dishes.
They bugging. They
And
must have never
wondering
lived
why
by
they
them.
having
They
problems in
never
the
lived by them.
relationship.
Not even. They never lived by themselves. Yo, side note, sidebar, I will say, I do believe that every man should live by themselves before they live with a woman, because
Mm,
living
mm,
by myself, I mean, I
mm-hmm.
had an apartment for 2 years and I had to take care of myself. I learned how to take care of a house, and
Yeah,
that's a big
yeah,
responsibility. And all
yeah,
men should know how to take care of the house,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not a woman's job. Because if you're living by yourself, guess what? You're gonna have to clean up. You're gonna have to do
Exactly,
dishes. You're gonna have to cook for
exactly.
yourself. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
have to depend on a woman for your well-being. But that's just a little
Yeah,
sidebar
yeah.
for a
Facts.
little jab for my youngins.
Those
Get your own
facts.
apartment. learn how to take care of yourself. So we talked about your strengths. So what do you think you need to work on as far as your emotions, and what are your weak points in that area? Like, what are you trying to improve on?
My emotions. I need to work on. I would say, because I'm always constantly working on it, so I don't know specifically what I need to work on. But I would say the past few years, it wouldn't even be in my home. It would be expressing myself to my parents. That
Expressing
changed.
yourself to your parents?
Yeah, that changed over the past few years. Well,
Yeah.
I always would express myself, but I get in trouble. But now it's pretty much like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I say what needs to be said.
Yeah, I
like,
feel you. I
like
feel
before, I
you.
would say certain things, but I knew there was a limit. But now that I don't live at home, it's like, I love you, so I'm gonna be real with you.
You said there was a. I would tell you about yourself, but there was a limit.
Yeah, there was a limit. There was a limit because I still live at home. But yeah, and that, yeah. Also, like I said, I'm always working myself, so I know when I maybe getting a little too aggressive with my kids because of how I was brought up, the discipline that I was brought up. So that's something I'm working on, like actively. So it's like I'm conscious of it. It's not something that I'm like. It's not a battle where it's like it's hurting me. It's like it's one of those things that I'm conscious of. Like I gotta make sure, like, yo, don't be too hard on him. Like you know what I'm saying? Like not
No, I
too.
get it. I get it.
I mean, but yeah, I'll say that. What about
All
you?
right. For me, I think I've always been very vocal about my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and this stems back from like I was a child. Like I'll never forget. This is mommy don't hate me. I love you. You know what I'm saying? But I'll never forget the day where I found out like my pops cheated on my mom.
Mm.
And I told him straight to his face, bro, like she needs to leave you. Straight up. I had to be like 12. Nah.
Bro, I would
This
never.
ain't
I'd be
right.
like, this ain't none of my
Boy,
business. They ain't none of my
boy,
business.
like 12, bro. I was like, yo, she needs to leave you. Mommy, leave him. Like, I was dead serious. You know what I mean? And I've always been like that. Like, I've
Mm.
always just said what came to my brain, and without conscious thought, especially as a child. It was just how it was.
Wow.
So for me, as I became older, I began to master what I'm feeling. I'm able to internalize it and understand the root of it. And that came with a lot of accountability. It came
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of self-evaluation. It came with having morals and standards that and convictions that I'm not willing to violate for anybody.
Mm.
So when when I got that foundation in me, allowed the mature process to happen with emotions. So things that would have let's say things that would have, I don't want to say hurt me, but things that I would have might have overreacted on as
Mm-hmm.
a teenager or a young adult, I'm a lot more poised about. My I think I've worked on my patience a lot. Like you said, we always constantly working on things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've been working on my patience a lot.
Yeah, your patience is short.
Yeah, I got very short patience. My patience for men is very short. For adults, it's very short.
Yeah.
It's quick, man. I very I don't have a lot of tolerance for stupidity in my eyes. Like what I think is
Yeah.
stupid. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't say what you think is stupid, not, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying for my personal. If I feel like you're a clown, that's it. If I feel like you violated, your family, I'm gonna holler at you. If you,
Mm.
you know, if you
That's a
if you
fact.
prove yourself be to be not up to the standards that I
Mm.
want the people around me to be, I have
Yeah.
no problem saying goodbye, and I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I think I've had so many broken relationships in my life that it's not hard for me to separate myself from people.
Mm-hmm.
Other than my wife and my kids who I'm responsible for, There isn't anybody where I would be like, yo, I need these people. I need this person in my life. I'm very like, whatever.
Yeah.
Stay, you stay. If
Yeah.
you go, you go. And sometimes I feel like it's cold. I feel like it's cold-hearted because
Yeah.
I don't even apply it to titles. Like, I don't go, oh, be my pops, oh, you got to be in my life. Like, nah. If you're living a foul life and your morals aren't intact, I'm good. You go about your business, I go about mine. Friends, anybody, it doesn't really matter to me. So I guess it's a catch-22. I'm trying to, if I could say things that I need to work on, I am very blunt. Very
Yeah.
blunt,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
it comes off very raw. I'm
Yeah.
not and I try to change my words up. And what I started to do was I have like this thing that I do mentally now where it's like I got 3 strikes, right? But my 3 strikes aren't the typical 3 strikes anymore. The 3 strikes, the people that are close to me is like 1 strike is 3. So 1, 2, 3, that's 1. 1, 2, 3, that's 2. 1, 2, 3, like I had to do it like that. So that way I didn't overreact on things. Because I wanted to stop just overreacting. Because even if I overreact, because I'm so used to dysfunctional relationships and I'm so used to just being like, go about your business. Even if I overreact, I wouldn't care if you weren't in my life, even if I was the one that was wrong. So I wanted to be more conscious of my perspective of my relationships and what type of relationship I want to have with people, and not be so quick to be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the things I'm working on, because it's like I said, it's definitely an uphill battle for me personally, just because I've had so many dysfunctional relationships in my life. It's far and few that I've had a consistent relationship. I can't think of anybody that that I've had a relationship with from a child. I'm talking about from my family, from a childhood, for real. We're talking about like 5, 6, you know what I mean? Where it was just straight through. And I'm not saying you don't have ups and downs in the road, but where I wouldn't go years without talking to them or whatever. I would go years without talking to my pops, and he lived in the same house as me. So for me, it's not nothing for me not to talk to my pops. You know what I mean? It's literally like, oh, okay, So I think that's what I really need to work on, and I'm working on it. I'm like I definitely express my, I talk to my wife a lot about how because she doesn't like that I'm so quick to cut people off. That's not something that she likes. So a lot of people get saved because she doesn't like it. You know what I mean? Like some people, there is no chance for you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not. If you violate principles, I can't do nothing for you. I would just rather you go about yourself. You don't go about your life. But my wife, she cares about relationships a lot, and I care about her a lot. I love her a lot. So because of that, I work on it. So like you said, it's one of the kind of things where your wife always seems to bring out things in you that you didn't expect.
That's a fact.
And
that's a fact.
And even with my emotions, like she allows me to be who I am. Because I mean, like I said, one thing I have to work on. And I'm blunt, but I don't feel like it comes off rude. But it is very direct. And what I realized is people aren't used to people being upfront about their feelings.
That's true.
And if you're upfront about your feelings, you're very direct. So if I'm upset with you, I'm gonna go, yo, I'm upset with you. This, and this, right? People take offense to that. People, they do.
That's a fact.
They're not used to it. They're not used to it. And because I'm used to it, or that's what I want out of a person, I want you to be able to come to me like, yo, James, you really hurt my feelings with blah, blah, blah. Or yo, this, da, da, da. You know what I mean? Like I could think of times like I said something to you and I'd be like, yo, bro, I said that, but you know what I mean? My bad. I didn't mean to say it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's how it came. It's just how it came off, but I didn't mean it for disrespect or whatever the case is. Or, and I'm much more conscious of that kind of stuff now. Because before I would just say stuff. And if you felt the way and you didn't say anything to me directly, you was just gonna feel away. That was it. Like, I was just gonna be like, okay, and that's it, and I'm cool with that. Like if you didn't tell me, like Like, if you didn't say nothing, then that's just it. But
Like, all right,
now,
we good, right? All right,
like
bet. We out.
yeah, exactly. But you over here feeling away, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'd rather you just tell me, yo, you feel away. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's what I realize is that people aren't, and I guess it's just the society we live in. People aren't very direct about their feelings, and I get it. You know, I completely get it. So for me, I think it's just more of a even though I don't think I'm ever not gonna be direct about my feelings. I'm always gonna be a straight shooter. I'm just a little more conscious of what I say and how I say it, and who I'm saying it to. Like I'm gonna be honest. If the relationship don't mean nothing to me, you're gonna hear it the way it come out. And I don't curse you out. I don't do any of that. I'm not rude about it, but I'm definitely direct. Like, if I feel like you're living a certain way and I don't approve of it, I'm not knocking you for how you live, but I don't have to be your friend.
Yeah. You see, that's the thing too. Like, as men too, we have to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, there's none of
that.
Like,
if you see your man just doing something and he's bugging, you gotta tell him.
Like, they don't do that.
It's okay to tell him, like, yo, bro, you bugging. Like,
that don't happen.
Like, tell him,
that
like,
goes back to being vulnerable, though. That goes back to being vulnerable. That goes back to being vulnerable, though. And the fact that you're saying that, like, how many dudes you know really tell their friend, like, yo, you cheating on your girl?
Yeah.
You're a clown.
Yeah.
You're a clown.
Nah, that's a fact.
Real, you're a clown. How many guys you know that's gonna really say that? None. Like,
I think we might be the only ones on that.
I mean, we don't.
Our tight circle, like.
Yeah, I mean, thank God we don't have that issue. But I'm just saying, like, it goes back to communication, emotions, and being able to express them. I think the fundamental component for emotions, if that's what you call it, it starts over communication. Being able to accurately and fully communicate.
Yeah, like, crazy thing is, I'm looking back, the only time, like, literally the only time I fully expressed myself was during sports, bro. Like, I literally cried during my last game of football, senior year. Like, I cried in front of the whole team, like, talking to the team. Like, the only time I remember I cried in the locker room with Aljo when we lost in 11th grade, wrestling in counties. Like,
yo, not to mention, I ain't gonna front, Aljo was trash in wrestling, but we're not gonna get into that.
Nah, boy was nasty. That 11th grade year, we was wild. But it's like, what if, like, people don't ever figure out a way to express stuff, and that's why they end up needing therapy later on in life? Because you never
honestly, bro, I don't even think it's that. I think the people that don't know, the young men that don't know how to express themselves effectively, end up in the criminal justice system. I really believe that. I believe the criminal justice system is full of young men who didn't know how to express themselves. They didn't have an outlet, and they lashed out. That's all it is. Because when I think of therapy, it's like, there's such a bad stigma behind therapy.
It is.
For me, I'm such a supporter of mental health and men having the ability to communicate, that therapy is like 101. I think even if everything is so good, I still think men should go to therapy. I really do. Because it's almost like this. Like, if you making money, right? You don't want to wait till you not to figure out a way to make money. You want to keep making money, right? So
no, I get you.
If I'm happy, right? I want to go. You don't have to always go to a therapist about your problems. You can be like, yo, I'm in a really good place right now in my life. And one thing I will say though, I'm like, when it comes to therapy or whatever it is, just make sure they're rooted in the right discipline. And
that's always been my thing. Like, I ain't about to just be talking to you.
And, I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying go sit down and talk to anybody. What I'm saying is, do your research on them, see where their mentality.
Some good counsel, basically.
Yeah, some good quality counsel. It don't even have to be a therapist. It could be anybody that just somebody that has good morals, that can give you the right advice and really help you as you go through the process of expressing your feelings, especially if you lack the ability to do that. And majority of the African American community, especially men, I'm pretty sure they're emotionally drained, or their feelings are like a desert, right? And they feel this sense of strength. Oh, I don't cry, that makes me strong. That doesn't make you strong. I don't get all emotional stuff. That doesn't make you strong. What you're
That's
doing
not
is,
okay.
especially if you have a family and you have
Yeah.
kids and you have a wife, being emotionally disattached will eventually be the downfall of your family, and it'll be the root of your child's insecurities. Because if they never see you with that type of affection or that type of feeling, when it comes onto them and they start to experience it, because they're gonna experience it, they're not gonna know how to do it, and then you're gonna wonder, what's going on with my kid? Like you never taught them how to deal with their feelings.
I feel rejuvenated after I cry, bro.
Oh man, it's like washing, cleansing your soul.
For real.
You know what I mean? Straight through. They what are they saying? They say God catches every tear and counts them. He knows every tear. Like that, I love that. Like I love that thought. You know, and just to know that men, you know, I just want them to understand, like, it's okay, man. It's a right to feel.
It's okay.
And really pursue the feelings. Don't hide them. Don't fight them. Pursue them. If you feeling with so much love for your wife, show her, tell her. If you feel like hugging your child and kissing them, and don't matter, do it. Like, if you feel like, yo, I miss my bro, man. Yo, bro, yo, I miss you, man. You know,
literally the other day, when was it? Yesterday, I was like, yo, I love you, bro. Talk to Charlie yesterday, like, yo, I don't care, like, bro. I'll tell him, you know, I tell you I love you. I don't care, bro. I'll tell if you're my man and I love you, I'm gonna tell you I love you, bro.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. It's a rough society we're growing up in, and you know, I hope this Emotions podcast helped someone, some young man, or
definitely.
And if you're a young lady or a mom watching this, just let your children know, and even if you have a boy, whatever, just let them know, like, listen, there are men out here that really care about your feelings at the end of the day. And for the women who haven't experienced, you know, a man that really, you know, has invested emotionally in them, you know, you can't force it out of them. But if it's a requirement that you have in a man, you need to express that too.
Yeah.
And for the dudes, just understand, man, it's okay, bro. Like,
get
at the
in
end
tune
of the
with
day,
your emotions, man.
It's get in tune, really understand them. And what I will say is don't lash out. Get to the root of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Because in that you'll find accountability, and in that you will be empowered. And the more you learn about them and the more you learn how to express them, the better you're gonna be for society, for your family, for yourself, and ultimately you'll get closer with God. Even if you don't believe it, trust me, he has a good way of triggering your emotions to connect you with him. But
we can end it. I want to end up with this quote right here. I don't know exactly how the quote for quote, but basically, high emotions lead to low. Dang, this was a good one too. Bro, tell me to get it right. Hold on. No, I got it. High emotions lead to low. Damn, how do you just mess me up again? Oh, high emotions lead to low reasoning.
Explain it.
So basically, something happens during high emotions, right? You might just react off your emotion without even thinking. So when you're on high emotions, your reasoning's low. You're not really thinking. So that's why it's very important to be in tune with your emotions. Like, okay, I know how I'm feeling right now, so I need to step back and calm down. Let me assess the situation before I just react. Like, yo, let me assess what's going on. Let me get my reasoning right. Let me not react on just feelings. Let me really see what's going on, and then assess. Okay, all right, now let me attack what's going on.
I respect it. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. But it's been another good one. Yo, we on episode 3, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, let's keep this thing going, man.
Yeah, man. So what we doing next? What we got next in store for them?
We got a lot in store, man. We cooking up. We cooking up, man. We cooking
up. Are we going into relationships next?
We could do relationships.
I'm ready to get into relationships.
Okay, we get into relationship talk. Do you want to we want to do friendship, girlfriend, marriage, all of that?
I think we could put it all in one. So that'll be the next one. Maybe I'm not going from marriage might have to be its own entity because that's a
marriage
whole
is gonna
different.
be like a 3-part, like that's gonna be
Yeah. We gotta dig in.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna get into relationships next. And I
Yep.
hope you guys are enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we got some decent views. I'm like
Yeah,
every time I look at
appreciate
them,
you
I'm actually
guys.
shocked for real.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all,
Who really
man.
wants? I mean, no offense to myself or my
Yeah.
brother over here, but
Yeah.
who wants to listen to us talk?
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I
That's what I'm
mean?
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
It ain't nothing special. We just talking. We speaking just our facts.
Yeah. You know, so like you said, we appreciate you guys and all the support that
Real,
you give us.
real.
You know, what is it? Subscribe. I'm terrible.
Subscribe,
Forgive
like,
me
yeah,
too.
we new to this. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Subscribe, comment.
Like, comment, all of
Yeah.
that. We want to hear your feedback. What you feel
What do
we
you
should
want us to
talk
talk
about.
about? Yeah, that's good too.
All of that. Topics, we'll take it. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week, man. Stay safe. I know the quarantine is crazy, but
yeah,
you know,
stay safe, y'all.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see y'all on the other side. All right, later, guys.
Peace.
Run to the Jordan.